I think that it's a very short presentation and not exactly in line with what was presented by Yoram and Florida. Just maybe another way to broaden the impacts of transport infrastructure. May I start just with a very simple graph. You have here the evolution of the number of jobs per region in France. And what is in black in the middle is Paris-Île-de-France region, 12 million inhabitants, 20% of France. And you observe that since the end of the 1980s and 2013, we have more than 10 regions having higher growth of the number of jobs in comparison with Paris. And the main growth is for Corsica, where you have no high-speed rail, almost no motorways, but a great level of migration of people moving from the continent to Corsica. And you observe that all the following region with a very high level of growth of jobs, you have here the Languedoc-Roussillon, you have the Pays de Loire, you have and so on. It's mainly a region close to the sea. It's what we call the tropism of seashores. And here you have at the bottom of the graph, you have mainly the region in the central part of France and east part of France. So clearly, what I wanted to show is that if we look at the regional developments, the transport infrastructures are not a magic wand. They have positive impacts. Clearly, we were right in France to have, during the last decades, a master plan for motorways, master plan for high-speed rail, and so on. So clearly, we were right to develop the transport infrastructures, but their positive impacts are conditional. They are conditional to demography, migration. They are conditional to the attractiveness of the cities and to the macroeconomic waves. If I come back to, you can observe here that after the financial shock of 2008, we have a slowdown here in almost all the region, except in Corsica. And what was mentioned already by Tom Worsley, the positive impacts can be local but not global because of the two-way issues. That is to say, what we observe sometimes it's a relocation of activities. You have winners of the transport infrastructure, but you have also losers in other parts of the region. And when we are speaking about big projects, what well frequently the positive impacts of the project are usually overestimated because public authorities are risk lovers. They have a convex utility function, that is to say that they prefer receiving a random wealth to receiving its means with certainty. And just to give you some example, if you look about the impact of high-speed rail in some French agglomeration, you observe that in some cities with high-speed rail service in less than 3 hours between the city and Paris, you have sometimes a very high level of growth of jobs, but you can have also less jobs, like in Le Creusot. There is a relation between Le Creusot and Paris since 1980-81. And on the contrary, you observe that with some big cities without high-speed rail service in less than 3 hours with Paris, you observe a very high level of growth in Toulouse and again in Corsica, and not a big growth in Brest, in Brittany, or Clermont-Ferrand. So clearly, what I would like to mention is that if you look at the situation of the impact of the high-speed rail opened in 2007 between Paris and Strasbourg, you observe that maybe due to the economic shock of 2008, you have less jobs, for instance, in Reims, less job in Metz, than before the opening of the line. So just to consider that, if I come back here, that transport infrastructure are very important. They are necessary, but if you broaden the scope of appraisal, you observe that the impact of transport infrastructure is sometimes marginal in comparison with demography, the attractiveness of the city, tourism industry, and the macroeconomic waves. And that's all. Thank you.